Welcome, everybody, to this mantra breathing session today. It's a bright and clear day here in Washington. We've had such a string of cloudless days. It's unbelievable. At least 2 weeks of straight cloudless days. And so we're pretty happy over in this section of the woods. We're going to talk about Babaji today, our miraculous meetings with Babaji, and Sandra has our book that we wrote here on him, and you can get it on Amazon. Babaji, My Miraculous Meetings with a Maha Avatar, and it's got all her wild stories from when she first met Babaji and all the things that he worked with her on. And I think from a rebirthing standpoint, this book is very significant because Sandra writes it in the form of what were the lessons that Babaji was helping me get in my life, which is what we would be doing if we were rebirthing someone. We would like to go down into their subconscious and pull out, anything, any karma, any negative thoughts that they needed to clear up in their life. And this is exactly what Babaji did with people. He didn't call it rebirthing, but when you were in his presence, he processed your life and your past and your karma, and all that came up. So Sandra wrote the book from the perspective of what were some of the issues in my life that Babaji helped me clear, So I think it's a different kind of a book on Babaji than some other books may have been about, very different incidents that people had with him. But these are all related to what was Babaji trying to help me clear up in my life and transform in my life. So I think from that standpoint, the title is correct. My Miraculous Meetings with a Maha Avatar. So the miracles in which he changed my mind and got me on a new path and put me on a new direction, those kinds of things. So take it away, Sandra Ray.
Yeah, so Maha Avatar means someone not born of a woman, which means Babaji did materialize his body right out of the ethers, which is hard to grasp. That's why it was so intense to be with him. And if you are into breath work, you are naturally in his lineage because he is the head of the lineage. So that means you can rely on him, talk to him as a master, and make him your master to help you with everything, because he blessed rebirthing and Leonard downloaded it from him. So he is head of the lineage. So I'm going to read a couple things. The first day that I was there was so intense. I didn't know if I could recover after one day. It was so intense. So at night, I decided I had had enough. I had to go straight to bed. I couldn't handle it anymore. And I'll read what I wrote. I could not handle whatever it was. I got in my sleeping bag, and suddenly Babaji appeared to me floating in the air. It was a baby's body with an old man's head, if you can imagine that, which I recognized as old Harakan Baba, which is an earlier manifestation. So he's floating over my sleeping bag with a baby's body and old Harakan Baba's head. And it was so intense, I started shaking. Intensely and flipping out. So I woke up with my roommate and I said, "Do you see that?" He could not see a thing. Babaji would not go away, and he stayed like this, floating in the air in front of me all night. At one point, I got so scared, I woke my roommate again and told him to get the Course in Miracles out of my backpack, which I had brought there, and all 3 books at that time. I made him read the words of Jesus to me out loud with a flashlight. It was the only thing that calmed me down and kept me from freaking out. I got no sleep at all. This was a lot for my first day. Okay, now I'm writing about my second day with Babaji. The second day, Babaji told us to cross the river and sit with him. This is when he began socking it to me. He would yell out, "You, give a speech." I was not even a teacher at the time. I was a nurse. You can imagine. I didn't know. He was obviously preparing me for my future. What would I speak about on the second day? He gave me no notice and I had no topic. but I had to get together quick. So I thought, well, I will just share about what happened in my room last night. There was a medium-sized group from all over the world there. I began speaking, and then I got very nervous about if I was doing it right. So I looked over my shoulder at Babaji. I was shocked to see him sitting on a rock coloring in a coloring book like a kid.
Now, I want to say something about this image, right? Because years later, Sandra and I realized that Babaji was showing her way in the future. Because when Sandra and I first got together, what we would do would be we would present the LRT or some seminar, and Sandra would be up in the front teaching, and I would be over in the corner painting. So it was like I was Babaji coloring in a coloring book, and she'd be giving a speech, right? So he was showing her what the future was going to look like. Way back then, this was like 30 years before it happened, right? So she was giving a speech, and he was coloring in a coloring book, and the same thing happened when Sandra and I got together.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So I also had the thought, I think he's on another planet. That was the thought I had when I looked at him. That was an unusual thought I was having. For 4 days, he kept this up. You, give a speech. I never knew when he was going to call on me. Later, I came to appreciate this training. He was seeing my future as a public speaker, and he kept testing me and preparing me. Okay, the second day, he sat down and he told each person how long they could stay. To one, he would say, you leave in 2 hours. I was horrified at that. Imagine coming all this way and having to leave so soon. You leave in 2 days, he would say to another. I thought he was being cruel. I noticed I was the last one in the circle and I was shaking. If he tells me to leave in a few hours, I'm going to be really upset. By the time it was my turn, I was shaking. Then he said to me very sweetly, oh, how long would you like to stay? He said to me. Now, later I figured out the reason he would ask people to leave in 2 hours is that's all they could handle of his energy in this lifetime. Literally, he knew exactly how much a person could handle. Like for me, it took me 2 years to recover from meeting him, 2 whole years. So you can imagine some people, they could only handle 2 hours of his actual presence. And when I got home, I vomited a lot. My watches the insides of the watch would fly out. I couldn't wear watches for a year. He changed my whole nervous system. So that's why he would tell people how long they could stay. I told him I had to go back in 2 weeks, so that was okay. Much later, I understood he will dole out these time based on how much his energy a person could tolerate. It took him 4 whole days before he stopped yelling at me, you. And when he would say that, my whole body would shake. On the 4th day, he finally gave me a name. My name in Hindi is Dirkule. When I asked for translation, I was told it meant strong one, immortal, everlasting. So I was over the moon. But it was hard to be there. We had to carry buckets of water up the 108 steps for the cooking. And those days, there was no electricity or running water. If we had diarrhea, we had to go all the way down the 108 steps quickly. We wore blankets around us in the temple as it was cold, and it was really cold to go in the river at 4 a.m. Every time we were in his presence, we would shake or go into our case immediately. Okay, so I'm going to jump here to another one on another day. One day, I think it was about the 3rd day I was there, I decided I would write a letter of gratitude to each person working with me on my staff with the Loving Relationships training. I spent most of the day by the river writing these letters by hand. Near my sleeping bag, I had made a makeshift altar out of an old crate turned upside down. Before I went to sleep, I suddenly realized that in the last 15 letters, I had added a line that was not right. It's probably my ego. So these 15 letters were stacked on top of 3 of the first ones, which did not have that line. I fell asleep in the afternoon, which is unheard of for me. I never take naps in the afternoon. Apparently, I slept right through the ringing of the bells to announce that it was time to go to the temple. Apparently, I had left a candle burning, but even so, it was quite far away from those letters. Suddenly, in the middle of the arti, a man came running into the storage room where I was told to sleep. He came to get a smoke. He was horrified to see my altar was on fire. So when I was woke, I was very startled. The amazing thing was that all the letters with the line that I was concerned about, being my ego, had burned up. The more amazing thing was the 3 letters below without that line did not burn at all, and they were not even charred. Now, how could that happen? All the letters that were wrong burned up, and all the letters that were right were not even charred. So how could it be that the top letters could burn up and then not burn the 3 bottom letters at all? This blew my mind, as it would be impossible. Well, that is India. That is Babaji. He must have sent this guy out of the arti to save me before I burned up the whole altar. And Babaji had us all stirred up. I was so glued to watching him that I never even noticed that some people were shaving their heads that year. I was just watching him all the time. Yeah, so I just wanted to read a few of those. And this book is all about different stories like that. And I just want to thank you if you are interested in getting this, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Marcus?
All right. So I wanted to read some of my poetry to Babaji. I went to Huracan with Sandra in 1987, right? And then I again in 1989. So I had already made the contact with Huracan and Babaji way back then. But then I found my teacher of the Course in Miracles, Tara Singh, in 1989, and I was with him strictly for 17 years, and I had lost contact with Sandra and with Babaji because I was totally focused on the Course in Miracles with Tara Singh. So it wasn't like one was better than the other. It's just that was my destiny to study with this master teacher of the Course in Miracles. So all the other stuff about Babaji kind of was put on the back burner for 20 years. And then when Tara Singh passed away in 2006, and I had a couple of years where I was sort of floating and not sure what direction I was to go. In late 2007, Sandra Ray came back into my life and we met. And then in 2008, we got together and I went back to Huracan with her in the spring of 2008. And that started my whole new life. So that's 16 years ago, right, Sandra Ray? So for 16 years, I've been kind of back on the Babaji bus with Sandra Ray. And that first year that I went to Huracan, it was very powerful. And I started writing these poems to Babaji because I was a writer at that time, just not published or not acknowledged as that. I had written tons of journals and things in handwritten books and so forth. So I was already in the swing of writing. And then these poems were one-page entries that I wrote in Babaji's kutir, which is like his private living quarters, right? And some of you have been there. There's this huge tree, couple of trees that are maybe a couple hundred years old that are in his living quarters. So this first poem is called Great Tree. The great tree of your love sheds its leaves, and I gather them from the garden floor of your house, placing them to press and dry between the pages of my heart. I will care for them, take them out on occasion, and give my wonder to their beautiful lines and shapes that remind me of your presence everywhere. You are in all creation, my love, my Lord. Where can I find you not? I have searched hard and tried to lose you in the darker hours of my sorrow, but then to discover your perennial return to me on the floor of my despair. There your leaves have fallen and lay flat in the heart-like shape of your benevolent restoration. I cannot stay in sadness long when your leaves are lodged amidst the pages of my heart. When I sit down in quiet and read their messages, I am grateful beyond belief to receive their corrective grace. I was asleep, but now I am awake under the spreading branches of this great tree of your love, taking home with me these small green leaves of your spirit. These are the currency of real value, the proper method of exchange in the marketplace of total liberation. In quiet, I receive these small bills of green, these pointed leaves of your love, placed in the stores of my heart. I am a man of great wealth because your grace has made me rich and true. Well, that's one of the first poems I wrote to Babaji when I returned with Sandra in 2008. And let's see, this was also written in the same time. I wrote like 10 in a row in his kutir. And this one's number 7, called The Villagers. You know, if you've been with us to Paracon, you know Paracon is surrounded by these little villages and all these simple people. They're beautiful people. You could say from our standard, they would be very poor, but they're rich in their joy. I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons we go to India, is to witness people who have so little materially, have so much spiritually, that they're absolutely in a state of joy all the time, and they barely have a roof over their head. So that's what this poem's about, these villagers that are all around Harakan. I am amongst your multitude in the simplest of forms, and they are your great gift to me. I see them humble and with feet bare in the huts of worship, doing those simple human tasks, laundering the clothes, harvesting the rice, carrying the load of humanity on their heads. I am below them somehow in my Western evolution, with the greater task of undoing what I know. How great is your gift to me in this vision of the holy, in the faces of these people, young and old, who live in the acceptance of the very air they breathe in the spirit of your divine grace. I am still and quiet in their presence as the dissolution of my Western self hastens with this innocence all around me. Who am I but like them in reality, doing my worldly tasks with one side of myself, yet with the greater side fixed with eyes that yearn for a vision of the holy? Who am I but like them in reality, here a short while on these planes of physicality, to move a few things around, but to ever remember the eternal nature of my one self? We are joined, they and I, by the remarkable benevolence of your grace. I in my nature and they in theirs intertwined somehow in the common bonds of a larger love, one that restores our aching hearts with the balm of true compassion. Yeah, those villagers, they're quite amazing. I hope you'll come with us to Heracon next year on the India Quest and meet them yourself. All right. I'm going to read a few here. This one is called Holy Sounds. Your afternoon symphony of sounds is within my happy ears. The birds take home and sing in the spreading limbs of your love. The great tree of your grace shades me and filters the sunlight in a dance of illuminated patches of light upon my feet. Even the buzz of a fly in my ear contributes a healthy note to your song. And there's a lot of flies in India buzzing around. I am rustled by the wind of your ever-flowing gifts that come to me unasked and therefore unattached to my own petty desires. When I am most empty and want nothing, you give me everything and demand nothing in return. Your gifts are infinite, even more than every drop of water in all the seas, every flickering light of stars within my sky. I am open to receive all your songs of love. They are not mine, but yours. How could I take credit for this creation? It is you who moves all things into the awareness of my reality. If not for you, I would not hear or see at all. If not for you, my being would be closed and isolated, untouchable, in constant despair. I hear instead myself, the one I share with you, who is so certain of the songs of love you sing. I listen to your sound and am ever grateful for the ears to hear and the heart to receive. You are the master of all holy sounds that compose my music now and forever. This one is called A Guaranteed Miracle from Babaji. So that's what my wish for you in this breathe is to have a guaranteed miracle from Babaji. So you just, before you start breathing, when we put the mantras on, just ask Babaji, what is the most important, what is the most pressing thing in your life right now that you need help with? You need a miracle in that department, and you are asking for it. You are asking for the miracle. I will receive whatever I request. That's a lesson from A Course in Miracles. So we're going to hold Babaji accountable for this. Ask and it is given. So you ask for the help with this miracle, and this is a guaranteed miracle from Babaji. Okay? So that's what this poem's about. A guaranteed miracle from Babaji. A guaranteed miracle from Babaji is simply and instantly acquired. Thus, now you see only happiness is God's will for you. As you insist in your heart, you are ready to receive only happiness. All those things in your mind causing you anxiety and concern, all those memories that have made you sad and blue, can be erased now by admitting you were wrong in the thinking of those things. Be gentle on yourself for thinking those thoughts, and don't blame yourself or cling to a sense of guilt for things you said or did that now you see as cause for regret? Everyone regrets something that is causing them some sorrow. Your memory is coloring your life until you let it go. It can be erased and therefore no longer a part of the program of repeating experiences that confirm your pain. A miracle can happen if you want it. Change your mind and invite Babaji to erase any ill thoughts and their effects. Now you can see life with new eyes and ears, a place where only perfect happiness can reign, because it is now your will. You have opened a door in which all the ascended masters who have realized absolute and unconditional love in their life can enter through to help you with the process of complete forgiveness. Babaji guarantees that you can be absolved from all past mistakes because you are now willing to forgive yourself and everyone completely. Wow, I haven't read that one in a long time. That's a good one. I need to read that myself a couple of times. All right, here's the last one. This is called I Ask You. I Ask You. This is what we're doing in this breathe today. We're asking Babaji to come to us, not as an idea, not as a belief system, not as some figment of our imagination. We're asking him to actually, physically, mentally, wholly, spiritually come to us. So I ask you, Babaji, what is the miracle I need in my life? I want to hear your words in my ears, not my own thoughts of strife or stressful struggle, but only songs of God, only songs of God's will for me in perfect happiness. Speak to me, Lord, in sounds of love, in forms my child understands. I am listening in the quiet of my heart, in the deep recesses of my mind, surrendered to your directions coming forth. Give me your heart to everyone you meet. Give from your heart to everyone you meet. And when you think you have nothing to give, I am always there to be the gift. That's Babaji's words to us. Give me your heart. Give from the heart to everyone you meet. And when you think you have nothing to give, I am always there to be the gift. Erase from my memory all thoughts of lack. You provide for all my needs. And once I have you blazing in my heart, desire ceases to distract my mind to other worlds where you are not. I see you then, surrounding me on all sides, in every breath I take, in every drop of rain, in all the food that keeps my body safe and sound. Where is my fear then, when you are with me every moment hence? You meld into my very blood that flows through my veins. You speak with my mouth and touch the world of heaven within my holy hands. You imbue me with the spirit of the source and trickle down to hidden depths within my soul. You are in me and I am in you. Myself and yours are melded with a truth unknown, with the silence that would ever speak of love, unfathomable, undefined, forever in the peace of God, surpassing understanding. Today, your miracle has come to make me glad, so I may live forever free. Wow, these are pretty good. I haven't read them in a long time. And wow, I need to read some of these again. All righty. So, All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit too, just a little bit. Michael mentioned them, and you can get these from the ashram in Colorado, and I think, ashrams in Europe probably have them too. These are these Babaji cards, right? You can probably get them if you're in Europe. I think probably the Holland ashram has them, right? So they come in a little box like this, right? You open up the box and it's full. And then when you open up the box, there are these cards, right? So there's like a whole, I think 108 of them. And you can just pick one. Like Michael showed us one. You just, pick a card for the day. And it has a beautiful picture of Babaji on there, like this one's the one I just picked. And then it has a little saying, "We are all equal, independent of the country we come from." Well, that was Babaji's message. We're one humanity, right? We're not a bunch of countries. We're one humanity. And we should be treating each other as brothers and sisters and not from different countries and Americans and Chinese. And, we're all one world, one humanity. So these cards are very powerful. I suggest you maybe get them. And that's another way you can connect with Babaji in your daily meditation. You just pull a card, and then that's your thought of the day. You think about that for the day, and then that's joining you with his mind. So it's easy to make contact with Babaji is what I'm trying to say, but you have to be the one that takes the step, right? You make one step towards Babaji, and Babaji will make 10 steps towards you. But you have to take that first step. And then once you do, it's a no-brainer. He's in your life, right? So we hope that this little talk has got you clear that even if you haven't met Babaji in the flesh, in the body, it doesn't matter. You can make direct contact with him in your heart. He's there, and we hope you will. So, Boli Baba Ki Jai, we say. Boli Baba Ki Jai, and that's the praise to the Simple Father.